There's a lot more to Ryan McNamara than just this insane sprint car crash. Other than his crazy, unintentional stunts on track, Ryan also works for his parents' family-run business, KRE Race Engines, and runs Lockdown Apparel, his own action sports brand. As always, if you like this content, give this video a like and click subscribe so you can see every Sprint Car Hub video. Ryan McNamara, thanks for joining me on Sprint Car Hub. I've wanted to have you on for quite a while now for a few reasons, but just last week you had a monster crash on your own at Archerfield Speedway in Brisbane. Tell us how you're feeling after all that.
Yeah, look, it's never fun to crash, but at the end of the day, I walked away fine. So you need to look at the positives out of it. And yeah, the car's pretty beat up, but that's all part of the sport. You just need to get back on the horse and try again. So we'll have another crack in a few weeks' time. We're just rebuilding the motor at the moment, with a bit of a mini off season in the middle of the season. But I was back at the gym the next day, a little bit of a sore neck, but nothing to worry about. So pretty good. We always put the money into this good safety equipment to ensure we can get back out there next week, and have another crack.
I've had plenty of crashes in a sprint car a few years ago, but I've never done anything quite like that. Some people probably might think it looks like amateur, but I don't think people realize just how much you're really pushing during qualifying, because you're out there pretty much on your own. And in every situation, you just want to stay on the gas to do the quickest lap time possible. But can you take us inside the car when it happened, and what were you thinking during the crash and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough one. I sort of was sitting there just before I pushed off. I had the visor down and I was like, quick time, or this could crash. We were up to like record times around Archerfield where the track was at hooked up. So I was like, I'm going to commit and see what we can do. And on the warm-up lap, I felt pretty good, and I thought we're not too bad here. A little bit tight, but just with the track so hooked up, that was expected. And yeah, I just went into one and really drove it in hard, and I was a little bit tight on entry, and then it freed up a bit mid-corner, and I felt the wheels lift a bit. But it happens all the time, and you just breathe the throttle and you continue on. But I probably had a little bit more throttle than I normally would, just committing to that quality lap, and it started to lift, and I felt that. Rode it for a bit, and as I started to lift even more, it just accelerated. I don't know if we had less wheel spin as I started to lift, and then it just just gripped up even more. It's a bit of a tough one. It was sort of caught me by surprise massively. At least I guess I know now. I've watched the video that many times to figure out what happened, to learn from it and move on. But I watch it now, and you just got to laugh. It's a crazy crash, and I'm fine, which is good, and we can get out there and have another crack. But there's no point dwelling on what happened. It's just more about moving on and looking at the positives out of the situation. And but yeah, when I was upside down looking at the sky, I sort of was like, said one word, and can't really say it on here, but then I closed my eyes and went for a bit of a ride. But once I landed, I kind of looked around and was like, oh, everything still moves, so I must be all right. Just get me out of this thing.
Yeah, I think most people were confused like you were. And when I messaged you, you said you were confused and obviously disappointed as well, as I think most people were. But like I said before, like, you're really trying to stay on the gas the entire time during qualifying. And it happens all the time that the front wheels lift up. And I guess you and I both know when you lift off the throttle in a sprint car, that the front end just slams down, and that's terrible for a qualifying lap. But as confused as you were, what was your old man thinking watching it?
I think he was probably, along a lot of people, was initially like a bit worried, because that was just a spectacular crash, and it didn't look pretty. So I think he was a bit like worried. And then, when I said like, oh, I'm fine, like, when are we building another car to go again, sort of thing, he's like, oh, okay, well, that's good. And it's just more about looking at situation and going, okay, well, you're pushing it to the limit, so it's better than being slow. I'm pretty sure we'd rather do what we did and then go out there and be 20th quick. So yeah, look, unfortunately, it's not the result you want, but at the end of the day, you need to look at the positives. So I was committed, too committed. Drove it too hard. Whatever way you look at it, it ended up the way it was. So it's all part of the sport. It's just it's crazy how crazy the video's taken off. I never really expected that, and it's probably one of the most viewed videos in Speedway history at the moment.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's had, well, you messaged me the other day, it had what, 1.2 million views on Facebook alone or something?
Yeah, it's between Facebook and Instagram, it's at 2 million now, just over views. That's a lot of people seeing me fly through there. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's not. It's funny because you'd have a good run and not one camera was around, and then you crash or have like a little accident, and then it's being shared everywhere. There was plenty of cameras around.
Yeah.
But speaking of your old man, he runs KRE, which is an extremely successful engine shop up there where you guys are in Queensland, who primarily builds supercar and sprint car engines. Do you have any involvement in all of that during the day?
Yeah, so big family deal. Mum and dad, the two owners of the company, and then me, my sister's there as well. So we've got a pretty good team. They're all getting to get it done. And myself, I'm a machinist by trade, and then I kind of do a bit of this, bit of that here and there, run the social media, and I'm in the process of doing a lot of behind the scenes kind of stuff, website wise and whatnot, just to take everything to the next level for the company. So yeah, I'm definitely there. I've been there since I finished school now, which is what, 6-7 years or something like that. And yeah, then I do my other stuff on the side. So plenty going on, but I wouldn't change it.
I imagine it's kind of difficult, like that's just my guess, to balance the engine shop and also your career in racing. What is that balance like? You also have your own personal business, Lockdown, a merchandise business, which, like everything you guys do, is extremely classy and looks like it's pretty successful. So, how do you balance doing all of those things to the maximum?
Not a whole lot of sleep and a whole lot of commitment are
Yeah.
the kind of the ways you do it. I sort of 4 a.m. every day, except for the weekends, maybe 5 o'clock, something like that. Yeah, you've just got to put in the work, and Monday to Friday at the shop, KRE, and then the race cars on the side after hours. Just whenever, the end of the day, KRE is the main focus in everything, and then the racing is second. So like at the moment, we could be racing this weekend, but we're not, because we're rebuilding the motor, and we simply need to do that kind of stuff, after hours and when we can. So, and then my stuff, I do that in the morning. That's what I get up early for. Get it done in the morning, and then a little bit at night here and there wherever I can. So it's getting pretty busy now. So we'll just see where things go the next 12 months. I need to do a bit of juggling, but everything's good. It's just, you got to commit and put in the effort.
You obviously take your racing pretty seriously, like everyone has to when you're racing a sprint car. But is it difficult to kind of not commit fully to your racing side of things? I imagine people would assume that if you're the son of a successful engine builder up there, not just in sprint cars but supercars and other forms, I assume that people probably just think that you can kind of race whenever you want, but you're not racing this weekend and you're not racing next week for the Australia's biggest race at the Classic down south. So do you ever get those sort of impressions that you just have everything sitting there ready for you?
Yeah, a lot of people might assume that, but at the end of the day, there's a couple of us who get in and get the job done, get the car ready. After hours, it's as simple as that. With the money isn't endless, but we do take pride in what we do, and we do, like a dad especially gets a lot of enjoyment out of having nice equipment, and putting in the effort to ensure everything is right. For us, we go out there. The last few years, obviously, you're learning and whatnot, but I feel like in the last 12 months, we've just sort of started to find a bit of pace now. So, we crash, and you got to push to the failure to figure out where you can go. So it's all a part of it. Unfortunately, it gets expensive, but you just need to keep giving it a crack. So it is a bit difficult to juggle everything, but we do make it work, and I'm thankful for the opportunities I've been given, and that I can go racing with my family. And yeah, we have fun. Obviously the sport is quite brutal at sometimes, but you need to look past that and just keep working on it.
Let's talk about your Lockdown brand or apparel business, because I love it. I think it's super classy. Like I said, everything you guys do looks first class, but you're working with drivers from all sports, all different forms of motorsports, supercars, sprint cars, karts over in the States in NASCAR, and guys like Carl Larson, Noah Gragson, Shane Van Gisbergen, the Dumsneys, James McFadden here in Australia with sprint car racing. What's it like being a sprint car driver yourself, but you're working with your fellow competitors? Because I mean, I used to race myself, and since I stopped racing, doing sprint car hubs kind of okay, because I just don't see them the same way as I used to. It's still like a little bit weird, but I'm kind of used to it now. But you're still racing wheel to wheel with those guys, and obviously you're working with them on projects at the same time.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Like I say, a lot of the ones I work with are in different categories, or they're overseas, and there's a few local that I race with, but we've got a great relationship at the end of the day. And whatever happens on track happens on track. We might go out there and both crash each other out, but at the end of the day, that's racing. I don't really hold grudges or anything like that. I kind of just like to stay in my own little bubble, in a sense, and just focus on what I'm doing, because I got too much going on to be worrying about other people's problems. So look, it can get a bit, I guess, tricky when you're out there racing wheel to wheel. You don't want to crash, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really cross my mind, just because you got one job, to be in front of him before that checkered flag. So I've got a great relationship with everyone we do work with, which is quite a lot of people now, and it's getting really big, which is really exciting. But yeah, it's a bit of a juggle. There's plenty going on, Monday to Friday and on the weekends, making sure it all ticks over nicely.
I love what you're doing, but I want to know, what are your plans moving forward? Like, do you have plans of being more involved with the engine shop, KRE, or do you want to grow your brand to be something that you do full time on your own, or is it your racing career that you really want to push on with?
Yeah, but the racing career is definitely something I want to focus on in the short term. That's not a long-term option physically and I guess financially. But right now it works hand in hand with KRE that we can test things and figure out, what we can do better with our engines. We're trying a lot of things now with heat, just to ensure that, they don't stumble down low later in the feature race and stuff like that. So, it works really good in that sense. We can do a lot of testing for the KRE, and I'd love to go to America, cut some laps over there. I definitely don't plan to be doing full Wet Outlaws tour or anything like that. That's not what I want to do, but I do really want to race hard and put a lot of effort in for the next few years. So, and the clothing is definitely something that's taken off, and I put a lot of effort into, and it's really rolling nicely now. So it's hard to make a set plan for the next few years. It's just a matter of putting this maximum effort in right now and seeing where things go. Is probably the best way to put that.
If you watch this video, I guarantee you'll love these. Make sure you also subscribe to us on YouTube and find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And if you want high quality sprint car racing merchandise, we have exactly that over on sprintcarhub.com.